As tensions between the United States and Israel worsen, the United Nations Atomic Energy Agency announcing new intelligence suggests Iran has advanced work on a nuclear bomb. I'm joined now by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Fox News contributor John Bolton, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, and Fox News contributor Judith Miller. Let's go first to the issue of what is happening in Cairo, in Benghazi, and hopefully it'll be contained there. But the storming of our embassy, the burning of our consulate, this is not the stuff of an Arab Spring, is it?
No, this is the radical Islamic wave cresting in the Middle East. And I think anybody who remembers the takeover of our embassy in Tehran in 1979 has to be chilled at the picture of people standing on top of the walls of our embassy in Cairo and reports that that fire has damaged or destroyed the consulate in Benghazi. You know, we better be prepared for something worse coming in the next several days at a minimum. And I think it's time to tell the government of Egypt their security forces could have prevented this, and we expect them to be prepared the next time.
You agree, Judy?
I'm afraid I do agree with John, and oftentimes we disagree, but on this, there can be... The
night is young, as they say.
There can be absolutely no dispute that that is an attack on American soil. The Egyptians have an obligation to protect the embassy, just as they had an obligation to protect the Israeli embassy, which they also did not do. This Morsi government, if Mohammed Morsi wants to be considered a serious player, if he wants the United States to reduce Egypt's debt by $1 billion, which we've promised them we would do, I think we have to be very clear that this kind of activity will not be tolerated.
Which looks like utter madness right now.
Well, it's very foolish. I mean, let's remember, the Muslim Brotherhood's official position is that 9/11 was an effort by the American government to help stimulate the economy back in 2001. I think Mohammed Morsi should be called upon to repudiate that position. The coincidence, if that's what it is, of coming across our embassy walls on 9/11 is just unbelievable.
As upsetting as all of this is, perhaps more upsetting to many Americans is the fact that the Obama administration, it's the State Department, actually apologized to the very radical Islamists who were demonstrating on behalf of the makers of a film questioning Muhammad and setting aside our constitutional rights and culture and heritage of free speech to say that they had abused our freedom in hurting the feelings of Muslims. Judy, this strikes some, and particularly me, if I may be candid about this, as utterly, it's just disgusting.
I think an endorsement of free speech is something that could have been issued and should have been issued on the 10th of September, but not as protesters are climbing the walls of the American embassy. And moreover, it's unclear what film they were protesting, but it seems to be a film that was put out online by Kurt Wilders, who the last time I checked is not an American, but a Dutch citizen and politician. This is just a pretext for staging a noisy, raucous, nasty, dangerous protest on the day of 9/11.
And with Netanyahu asking for a meeting, admittedly, Israel is a small nation, 6.5 million people. The President of the United States is in charge of a superpower. But Israel is our principal ally there, and the issues are for Israel extant. They are all about whether or not Israel survives.
Look, it's a bad day for America and for its friends. The essence of free speech is the government doesn't deal with substance. The government has no role in commenting on the substance of speech by Americans. That statement by the embassy was appeasement. This is worse than the Stockholm syndrome. At least then people are already hostage. This is a pre-hostage statement. And on Israel, for Obama not to meet with Netanyahu at a time of the Iranian nuclear weapons program reaching a climax is just inexplicable.
Let's take a look at that, at the statement issued by the State Department, the embassy, if we could put that up. The Embassy of the United States in Cairo condemns the continuing efforts by misguided individuals to hurt the religious feelings of Muslims as we condemn efforts to offend believers of all religions. And goes on to say, today, the 11th anniversary of September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks on the United States, Americans are honoring our patriots and those who serve our nation as the fitting response to the enemies of democracy. And with that, we are... I mean,
the ambassador should fall on her sword over this one. This is an embarrassment to the United States. It's an embarrassment to Barack Obama. And if he doesn't repudiate it soon, it will be something Americans consider in November.
And more than that, I think it reflects the lack of a coherent policy towards Egypt. What we're going to do with respect to the Muslim Brotherhood, to safeguarding American interests and American... It's just a disaster on many levels.
Let's just leave it at this. There are foreigners on the walls of our embassy in Cairo, and we need a strong American response, or they'll be there again, and not just on the walls, but over the walls next time.
This is a strange moment in our history. It's a strange event on a day that in which we commemorate those we lost in those attacks. And this administration has taken a posture that they have to know, first of all, is wrong. They have to understand that. And politically, this could be politically, it is absolutely damaging to his re-election efforts.
Depends on how you feel about Israel. And I think this is a real mark of where the president really is, for precisely the reason you say, that politically you'd think he'd say, of course I'll see Prime Minister Netanyahu, and yet he's rejecting even that. That shows the depth of the disdain that he holds for that country.
Very quickly, Netanyahu was talking very strongly, though, talking about red lines. And I got to tell you, Netanyahu needs to mind his manners and very, very
And I think
seriously.
That's what the administration was responding to. My understanding is Ehud Barak is coming here next week to smooth things over.
Yeah.
Let's hope he does, because this is the wrong message to send to the Iranians right now.
I believe that both of you are exactly right. This administration to reject the request by Netanyahu is an insult, a slap in the face. It's bizarre. It's incomprehensible for Netanyahu to behave as he is doing now. These are difficult times.
If there were nukes building pointing at your backyard, you'd be worried about red lines too.
But his own government, John,
let me say this to you: that if your existence depends on the good offices of the United States, you would, and I'm going to leave this, you would be, with all due respect, John Bolton, you would be, I think, at least respectful of the nation and the office that Barack Obama holds. Thank you, Ambassador Bolton and Judith Miller.